This is Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details. Here are your hosts, Joe, Matt, and Chris.
Bucs Commanders is about to be the most exciting goddamn game this weekend, all right? Wild Card Weekend's going to be in full swing, but this game has the highest point total on ESPN right now at 50.5. That's what it's going off on. 50.5, all right? Both of these offenses are electric. They got playmakers at all the skill positions you want playmakers at, all right? They got two quarterbacks that popped off this year. Baker Mayfield, if you don't think he popped off, how does 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns sound? That sounds like a fucking MVP caliber type of season, all right? You talking about other quarterbacks do that shit. They're in the MVP conversation. Baker's not even mentioned because he's Baker fucking Mayfield. He plays for the Buccaneers. But you know what? We called the Bucs winning the division. The Bucs won that division, and here we are. Except for Matt, he called the Falcons. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're not going to talk about what Matt called right now because Matt was wrong. We don't like to bring up when Matt's wrong. We only bring up when I'm wrong here. Only when I'm wrong here, okay? So you have great matchups across the board offensively, and both of these defenses are kind of meh. So let's go ahead and just be clear about this right now. This is a high-scoring game. This is going to be incredible. This is going to be one of the best games from an action standpoint you're going to see all playoffs. I guarantee it. Now, we have some X factors for you. We got some predictions for you. We got key matchups for you. So I'm going to go to Matt on this one first. Matt, my guy, even though you picked the Falcons to win the division and they didn't. I'm this last time I'm bringing it up, I swear. Man. The last time I'm bringing it up, I swear. What is your key matchup to decide this for either team?
Hey, listen, man, I can go on a Michael Penix rant again if you want me to. Just random Michael Penix rant in the middle of a.
We're not talking about it.
Yeah, okay. All right. So if you want me to stay on topic, quit going at me. All right. So let's just stay at the topic at hand here, which is the Commanders and obviously the Buccaneers. Okay. So again, there's a key matchup in this game. And again, this is the key matchup. And this has been the key matchup in a lot of games that these two players have played against each other for the last decade, basically. And this matchup, we got used to seeing it just strictly in the NFC South as a rivalry matchup. But now we're seeing it in this particular matchup. It's Marshon Lattimore and it's Mike Evans. Listen, if you guys do not know about Marshon Lattimore and Mike Evans, Google is your best friend. Google Marshon Lattimore versus Mike Evans because these guys hate each other. They have some serious disdain. There is no love lost between these two guys. We've seen Mike Evans literally just drop like drop his shoulder into his back, get suspended for a game. We've seen these dudes fight like almost not every game, but basically every game that these two guys have played in the past few years. This is one of the best rivalries in football. They have amazing history and they have a huge rivalry together. And we've seen Marshon Lattimore also be able to hold down Mike Evans a lot in these matchups. You look at the NFC South matchups or the Mike Evans' numbers in the NFC South while Marshon Lattimore was in there. He put up big numbers against the Falcons. He put up big numbers against the Panthers, and he did not put up very big numbers against the Saints. Why is that? Because Marshon Lattimore does a wonderful job against Mike Evans. You can go look the numbers up yourself. Mike Evans does not have his best games against Marshon Lattimore very often. So this is going to be the key matchup of the game because, again, Mike Evans is the number one option on this Bucs offense. If Chris Godwin was still healthy and Mike Evans was on Marshon Lattimore, I probably would still be saying this was the key matchup of the game just because I wanted to talk about this matchup. But it wouldn't be as big because they would have a really solid number two receiver. And for as well as Jalen McMillan has been playing down the stretch for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's had touchdowns in 5 straight games. He is not Chris Godwin. There has not been that same connection between Baker Mayfield and Jalen McMillan as there is between Baker and Chris Godwin. So if Marshon Lattimore can limit Mike Evans' production in this game on Sunday like he has in previous years, the Bucs might be in some trouble in this game because they rely on Mike Evans a lot on that offense. And if Marshon Lattimore can hold him down, who knows? And if they both get thrown out of the game in the second quarter too, I wouldn't be surprised because we've seen that before too as well. So again, this matchup I think is going to be the matchup that decides the game. And it's going to be, whether it's on the field or off the field or on the sideline or in the locker room, whether these guys are fighting, who knows? But it's going to decide what happens in this game. That's for sure.
I mean, absolutely. Marshon Lattimore has absolutely torn people apart, and he's been a great, defensive back since he's been in the league. And you're right. If you have not, like Matt said, you know what? I'm going to say it. Stop watching this. Pause this video. Open another YouTube tab. Google Marshon Lattimore versus Mike Evans highlights. Watch that. Come back, and we'll finish this conversation. All right. But if you've already
make sure you come back. Make sure you come back.
Yeah.
If
you're here now,
come back. Yeah.
Thank you for coming back now. Thank you for coming back from watching this video. But It's a really good point. And once again, these offenses are great. I'm going to reiterate just how great these offenses are. When it comes from a touchdown standpoint, understand something. The Buccaneers have scored, let me make sure I get the number right here, the fourth most touchdowns in the NFL. Do you know where the Washington Commanders are? Sixth. The sixth most touchdowns. EPA per play. They are fourth and fifth in EPA per play. All right, that's estimated points per play. They are top 5 offenses, and just about anything you look at them from how they perform and how they overperform based on the averages and what's expected of them. All right, this game is going to be a firefight. This could be, like I said, it's probably going to be the highest scoring game of the weekend. But Chris, if it is a high scoring game, who is the X factor that could decide it for either team?
So it's so funny that y'all talk about the defenses, right? And how they haven't got a lot of love. The defenses are always questionable. But there is one big point, and for me, it is my biggest X factor because I think it is definitely going to decide the game because it decide the amount of pressure that Mayfield is under. And it has to do with the Commanders' defense, and it's specifically their rushing defense. The reason being is because the Bucs seem to have, I'm a Harry Potter fan, so I'm going to use this, and if you don't like it, I don't care because I like Harry Potter. So the very first one you watch of Harry Potter, what do they have protecting everything in the back? It is a 3-headed dog named Fluffy, right? That is exactly what the Bucs have right now in a 3-headed monster in their backfield, being their running backs. That to me is the key to this game because the Commanders' defense is top 5 in rushing defense. And the Bucs rushing offense is top 5 in rushing offense. So I think that's where that's going to be paid because here's the difference. If Mayfield is now going to be required to be put on the map, he's pressured, right? He's going to be under pressure. We know how, as great as he is, as talented as he is, as much as he has come back from all the hate that he has gotten in the past several years and has completely turned himself around. There is one thing that he does almost on a consistent basis when he is under pressure and he has to make huge plays because he doesn't have running backs to be able to manage the game. He has to throw the ball and he has to throw the ball a lot, which means he's going to be a gunslinger, which means he's going to make interceptions. He's going to make issues. He's going to have problems getting his team down the field if it's all on him. As much as I love him, as much as I definitely respect what he's been able to do, I think he has earned everything that he has earned. I think he's been fantastic this year and definitely should be in the MVP conversation because of how much he's been able to get out of this team. At the same time, if it's all on him and you're able to bottle up that running back group, then it's all on him, which means he has to go out and make fantastic plays almost on every play in order to get them down the field. And we've already talked about the matchup as far as his wide receiver one. So then you're looking at other wide receivers, especially your rookies, to kind of come up and try to be the best player on that squad. And that's a lot to ask of a rookie, in my opinion. So for me, the biggest matchup is going to be the top rushing back defense against the rushing or the rushing attack on the other side of the ball.
I mean, absolutely. Bucky Irving, if running backs got some love in this league, if they got some love in this league, Bucky Irving would 110% be in the offensive player of the year category. Like a rookie offensive player of the year, right? He did a great job behind a really good. I think the Bucs offensive line is a very, very good, run blocking offensive line, and he absolutely has balled out. We have not seen this sort of performance from a rookie running back in a hot minute. I mean, he's a 1,000-yard guy, double-digit touchdown guy. But you brought up some good people. I also want to just call out. We talked about McMillan here. Probably one of the more explosive Washington Huskies that came out of the draft last year right now is Jalen McMillan, who I don't think anyone really saw. We thought Rome Odunze would be in that lane, but Jalen McMillan over the last couple of games, these last like 4 or 5 weeks, has absolutely been a monster, and he's really shown up in those games, scoring a lot of touchdowns. He's got 8 touchdowns on the year. He's been a very, very big weapon, and he really stepped into that Chris Godwin role that Matt said. Now, granted, he's not Chris Godwin. No one's Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin, when he, it may not come back as Chris Godwin, after the injury, which is very disappointing thing to say because he's a great wide receiver. I've wanted him multiple times on other team on the Patriots because I just need a wide receiver there. That'd be great. But there are some really good players, and it's all on the offensive side in my mind. I think this is going to be a very high explosive game. I think that there's going to be a lot of throwing, a lot of running. And if you think that Baker Mayfield's not mobile, just realize he's the third leading rusher on this team. Okay. Baker Mayfield has the third most rushing yards on this team. He can absolutely scoot when he needs to. All right. Guy has got some wheels underneath him, and he is not afraid to go out there and put his body on the line, get this team to win, which is why people play for him. But enough of that shit. Enough of my talking about it. We're about to get into some fucking predictions here, and this is where it's going to go down for me, all right? I've been a Bucs believer for a hot minute, and I'm still staying on that train. I think Baker Mayfield has a career. I'm talking the top pinnacle. I want to see this man throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns against this team. I think he's going to do it. I think the final score of this game is going to be 35-30 Bucs. And Baker Mayfield, that guy, yeah, he's going to be he's the player of the game. If this was Madden at the end of the game, Baker Mayfield, that's who pops up. That's what's happening. Just so we're clear.
The NFC wildcard round MVP goes to Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to run for a touchdown in this game, too. I think he's going to get one on the ground.
Man. How many touchdowns? He's scoring 100 touchdowns in this game? Good Lord.
Nah, like 6.
Scoring all the touchdowns in this game. Listen, man, I don't got any hate for Baker Mayfield or for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because I think they've had an amazing year. They really have. And to kind of Chris's point, I'm on the same page. I think the ground games are going to be a huge factor in this game. But as far as rush offenses go, Washington has the third best rush offense in the league, 154 yards per game, and then Tampa Bay's fourth at 149. And the turnaround that Tampa Bay has had as far as running games goes from a couple years ago when they were one of the worst rush games of all time, Tom Brady's last year with the team, to now being the fourth best rush offense in the NFL, almost double the amount of yardage that they had Brady's last year, is remarkable. So got to give them a lot of credit. The defense is also much different at stopping it. Tampa Bay's got the fourth best rush defense, and like Chris mentioned, Washington's got the third worst rush defense in the NFL. There's almost a 40-yard disparity between those rush defenses as well. So again, and when you look at the pass defenses as well, they're almost opposite. Tampa Bay's got the fourth worst pass defense in the NFL, and Washington's got the third best pass defense in the NFL. So these guys have very different strengths and weaknesses, and we saw these two teams play in week 1, and Tampa Bay dominated them. It was 37-20 in week 1. But as we all know, things are very, very different, not only in the NFL from week 1, early September of 2024, but in life. I live in a completely different place. I got a bunch of different things going on than I had at the beginning of the NFL season. Life is different, okay? The NFL is different. But one thing that has stayed the same the entire year, ladies and gentlemen, you want to know what it is? Jaden Daniels has got it. Big-time situations, big-time plays, game-winning drives versus the Giants, versus the Bengals, versus the Bears, versus the Eagles, versus the Falcons. Some of the most iconic plays and throws of the season have came from that man's right arm, and we saw the Hail Mary versus the Bears, obviously, the game-winning touchdown against the Eagles, and then obviously the game-winning touchdown in overtime versus the Falcons. This man has got it, ladies and gentlemen, and you want to know what he's going to do again? Another game-winning drive at the buzzer. 30-26. Commanders beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the road, and you'll see the Commanders in the divisional round, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, that's that would be, I'm there for that. Feed me that. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner if that's what happens. But Chris, we're split. I think this is the first wild card game that we hadn't had the unanimous board finally. I mean, hey, the AFC is hard, man. All right, the AFC was hard to go against. It's going to be bad. I think it's going to be bad. But where are you at on this line? Side with one of us. Side with me. I'll say it. Side with me, Chris. The Bucs are winning, right?
Listen. I respect both, right? I respect both sides. I'm always the one that kind of teeters the fences. And I think both of you made some great points, fantastic points on both sides of it. And I know that Jaden Daniels, he is that guy, right? I 1,000% believe in Jaden Daniels, and I think he has done some fantastic things this year. But what we have talked about in several different episodes that I'm going to bring up now is the difference between playoffs and regular season. It's a huge difference. Huge difference. You're bigger stakes. It's more pressure. It's a win or go home situation. And if you're looking at it, you're looking at the Bucs and you're looking at the Commanders. The Bucs have been there. Their head coach has been there. Their quarterback has been there. Maybe not necessarily to the degree that the Bucs overall have been, but he's still been in those situations. You have vets on that team who've been there. What you don't have on the Commanders team is anybody really who's been there, because this is the first time it's ever happened for them in quite some time. So this is the first time for the rookie quarterback. It's the first time for his head coach. So going into that, and really based on that only decision, I'm going to go Bucs at home because of the inexperience. That's where I'm going to set it. But I do think it's going to be a great game. I think there's going to be highlight plays. I think there's going to be a ton of things to watch, after the game, to be able to see these little highlight things that come out that everybody posts. This one. Like there's going to be plenty of lights and flash among this game. Probably one of the best games I feel like is going to be fun to look at. But when we're looking at the status of it, I do, funny enough, have it at I think I had 30-27 for the Bucs.
Hey, you heard that. Let's fire some cannons in here, baby.
I told you they get one. I don't know about two, but I can stick with one.
No cannons. We're commanding. No cannons. We're commanding. Jaden Daniels, baby.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.